So we began a series of events called Banter, where we decided to create a different texture of events, so we would have two different things happening in one night. We would have a lecture followed by some kind of performance, because we thought that, up top we would get you with like the heavy stuff, the intellectual stuff, and then at the end it would be a little bit easier to digest and something that would be a little bit more fun. Although ideally the whole thing was supposed to be fun. So the first banter was involved our friend Suzanne Seisman and a band, the Lanarks, which are now known as the No-Nos. We wanted to get them together because they both were talking about the performance of identity. Suzanne with the identity of being kind of like this masculine intellectual figure, wearing a blazer with elbow pads, for example, or using glasses as a prop, or using like a cup of water surrounded by plants to kind of gain authority and be able to kind of convince the audience of whatever they were saying. And the Lanarks used that like kind of classic rock and roll presentation. The lead singer's goal with creating this band was to live out her dream of becoming a rock star. She kind of like took that by screaming into the mic and jumping around with her guitar, even though she didn't know how to play her guitar that well and she was just learning. Both performances were very different, but very convincing in certain ways. Suzanne talked really eloquently about these performances of authority and intellectualism in a way that was really confusing and captivating, because she'd be talking about blazers and then adjust the blazer that she was wearing, and she was talking about taking sips of water at points of pause right before or right after you said something important to kind of create a suspense in your argument. And then as she was saying that, she then stopped and took a sip of water. At a certain point we were talking about the kind of organization of the audience. So myself and the singer of the band actually moved the whole couch that everyone was sitting on and reorganized things into more of a circle, where before everyone was just gathered in front of Suzanne. And then ideally, and then ideally we would get to a situation where everyone was an expert and everyone had a plan and a sweater and glasses and a cup of coffee, and that we could all be equals and talk about things and change things, which I think is really what Suzanne was getting at with the performance.